Welcome in Tracy Bogert, the chairman of the Bexar County MAGA Republicans, voter suppressors, and Vladimir Putin enthusiasts. Welcome in. Hector Gomez, welcome. Joe Garcia from Colorado this morning. Jorge Chapa Jr., Viva Fiesta. Sam Tobias, welcome. Got to do a little muting for our evil Facebook overlords. Go Spurs, go.
Now, Chris Duel.
Yes. 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 What a glorious night to be a Spurs fan, as the Spurs not only defeat a very good Denver Nuggets team on the road last night, and oh, by the way, the Spurs did it without their leader, DeJounte Murray, still out with a upper respiratory issue. So the Joker, Nikola Jokic, goes for 41, but it doesn't matter because the Spurs are en fuego, baby. They beat the Denver Nuggets 116-97. And about an hour and a half later, it was made official as the Los Angeles Lakers fell in Phoenix to the Phoenix Suns 121-110, therefore earning your San Antonio Spurs a berth into the NBA play-in tournament. 3 games left in the season. Spurs will at least hold the number 10 slot in the play-in tournament. They're a game behind a game behind New Orleans, the New Orleans Pelicans. New Orleans did win last night on the road at Sacramento, 123-109. So 3 games left, a game behind the Pelicans. Should they catch the Pelicans, don't forget the Spurs have the tiebreaker against the Pelicans. And the significance of that is the play-in game between 9 and 10 will be Pelicans versus Spurs. The only thing still to be determined in these final 3 games, will that game be at the Smoothie King Center in New Orleans, or will that game be at the AT&T Center in San Antonio? I got 3 words for you. Oh, it's 4 words. In Pop We Trust. Good math. I went to Holmes High School. We weren't much on book learning or mathematics. Welcome in. It is the Chris Duel Show with Shannon, Salty, Sweeney, and the hardest working man in radio, Jeremy Kolok. Shannon, we say it all the time. I mean it. In Pop We Trust. Last night, our trust in Pop and in the San Antonio Spurs was rewarded as they will move on into the postseason. And I believe that game will be Tuesday night, the first play-in game.
Does it make it that much sweeter that the Lakers, LeBron James, and all of his big names go out on the same night? I mean, talk about a twofer, double dipping. No need to wait it out. They've done it. They lost last night to the Suns. LeBron James on the sidelines, watching it all go down. And the Spurs not only get the victory, but secure their spot for the playoff play-in.
And, you know, Shannon, the Spurs have had a lot of angst with the Lakers over the years. And a lot of it happened in the Kobe era and the Shaq and Kobe era. The Spurs and the Lakers were arch rivals. And, you know, just like a week before his death, Kobe Bryant said accurately, you know, if it wasn't for those San Antonio Spurs, we'd have had a lot more championships in my era in Los Angeles. They had a healthy respect for one another. Kobe liked Pop. Pop liked Kobe. There was a lot of respect there. But the angst toward the Lakers from the Spurs goes all the way back to Showtime and Winning Time in that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Magic Johnson era of the Lakers with Pat Riley as coach. The Lakers would always seemingly always, and I think always in the Kareem Magic era, beat the Spurs in the playoffs. The Spurs had some really good teams back then. They had Artis Gilmore and Gene Banks, and very early on in that little rivalry, George Gervin. And the Spurs would win 50, 55 games. They'd win their division, which I think was the Central Division at the time. And then they'd face the Lakers in the playoffs, and the Lakers would always win. I think once it went like 6 games against the Lakers in the playoffs. And, I remember, game 6 thinking, man, if we can just force a game 7 against Kareem and Magic and the Lakers, and man, we could, who knows, anything could happen. And maybe we could beat this amazing team. Never happened in that era. So Shannon, I totally agree. There's a special rivalry. And again, the people in LA, and I kind of get it, kind of the arrogance, it's almost like Texas Longhorn fans and alums saying, we don't really have a rivalry with Texas Tech in basketball. We are we're the Longhorns. They're children of a lesser god. I know Laker fans probably feel that way, but history has borne out in the Greg Popovich era that the Spurs have been formidable rivals over all of these years with the Lakers. So I totally agree with you. Extra icing on the cake this morning that it was the Lakers that the Spurs eliminated and leapfrogged to qualify for this postseason.
Can we talk about the shirt LeBron was wearing? Because not only was LeBron not playing and was sitting on the sidelines, he was wearing a very oddly specific shirt. And I haven't seen a close enough photo to make out all the faces, like if he's one of them on there. But it was a white shirt, and then it had the words Lake and Show. And in between Lake and Show were Lakers greats, along with all of the championship trophies that have been won over the ages. I felt like that was a choice. Like he knew going into the night, this was going to be it. They were playing the Suns. Let's remind everyone how great we've been. I've won one of these 2 already with this team. Let's remind everyone that, this is just an off year for us. Because that to me, again, It felt like a choice. Not only was he not playing, but that was the shirt he decided to go with.
And Shannon, I just pulled that shirt up on Twitter. I just in the search engine on Twitter, I put LeBron shirt. I'm looking at it right now. I will post it on our live video feed for people who want to see it there. That is interesting. On a night that we kind of knew, Shannon, that they would be, barring a miracle, and LeBron again didn't play in that game last night. So barring a miracle, they were at Phoenix. Phoenix has the best record in the league. Phoenix, many people believe, are the favorites to win the NBA this year, even with LeBron at full strength last night, but he didn't play. But if they had him, it would have been tough to beat Phoenix in their house. And the final, Phoenix 121, Lakers 110. I agree with you. I got it up right now. I got that shirt on the live video feed for people who are there with us on the live video feed. A very, very interesting choice. I mean, on a certain level, hey, man, you're celebrating the Lakers and the history that was the quote unquote Lake show. But I don't know. And it was interesting, Shannon, yesterday, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar apologized to LeBron James. Over the weekend, Kareem made some very negative comments about LeBron James. And then yesterday on Sirius XM NBA radio, Kareem, retracted them and apologized and cited all the great things LeBron James has done for the community and the African-American community. So I wonder, though, Shannon, especially, and, we're watching Winning Time, and later in the show, we hoped to get your review of the most recent episode of Winning Time, the rise of the Lakers dynasty, on yesterday's show, but we ran out of time, so we'll get to that today, certainly. But I wonder, Shannon, those Laker greats, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Magic Johnson, Shaquille O'Neal, somewhere in heaven, the late, great Kobe Bryant. I wonder how proud those guys would be of this current edition of the Los Angeles Lakers.
I mean, if you were just to look at the Lakers by themselves, right? I mean, the idea is that they are in it no matter what, each and every year. They are part of the conversation. And, lately that just hasn't been the way. It's been, the talking heads complaining that they're still having to talk about the Lakers on national television when the Lakers are not performing at the high level that we've known them to perform at throughout, the last couple of decades. But when you look at the league as a whole, the Lakers won that championship in the bubble 2020, just 2 years ago, two and a half years ago, I guess.
Less than two.
Yeah, if you count the extended season there due to COVID. So in that scheme of things, right? I mean, they're still considered a top team, a top organization, because you look at all of the have-nots that are out there within the NBA. But it is also interesting. You mentioned winning time. Like it's essentially the story of the rise of the Lakers, and it feels right now like we're watching the complete opposite of that.
And Shannon, what I find all the more remarkable going into this season, so many experts said your NBA Finals will be Lakers versus Brooklyn Nets. And Brooklyn Nets are still struggling to get into the playoffs. Lakers are out of the playoffs. LeBron, and I heard the guys before we went on air on the national show, Two Pros and a Cup of Joe were talking about how LeBron is in charge of orchestrating who's on the Lakers roster or any team that LeBron plays for. And we heard Magic 2 days ago with Mike Greenberg saying that DeMar DeRozan wanted to be a Laker, but LeBron James was talking with Russell Westbrook, and they made the choice to go Russell Westbrook instead of DeMar DeRozan, and they could have kept some of the younger pieces. They chose not to. So when we think about what the Spurs just did last night, Shannon, with a lot of people going into this season said, how are you going to compete when you've lost DeMar DeRozan, LaMarcus Aldridge, Rudy Gay, Patty Mills, all those veterans? All you've got is DeJounte Murray and a bunch of young people we've never heard of. The Lakers roster this season includes Russell Westbrook, Anthony Davis, LeBron James, Carmelo Anthony, Dwight Howard. Now, those are your guys who have been on all-star teams. You also got some other pretty good parts. DJ Augustine, Malik Monk. This Lakers team, Avery Bradley, very good. Trevor Ariza, Wayne Ellington on that team. But most of all, what could have been an all-star team at one time in the NBA, this could have been your all-star starting five. LeBron James, Russell Westbrook, Anthony Davis, Carmelo Anthony, Dwight Howard. Granted, Dwight Howard and Carmelo Anthony, like LeBron, are long in the tooth. But for that's kind of a super team, if not more than kind of. That is a super team. For that team to have fallen like a rock, Shannon, as the Lakers have. Again, back to LeBron James t-shirt, Lake Show, with all those Lakers greats on it. I think Kareem told the truth over the weekend when he was criticizing LeBron James. I think Kareem saw the heat, and maybe he's also watching Winning Time, where he's not portrayed in a very good light. I think Kareem thought about it. Maybe somebody talked to him. Maybe he saw the blowback on social media. So he did the right thing. He took the high road, and he apologized yesterday. But I truly believe, Shannon, that the Laker greats, living and past, Shaq, Kareem, Magic, Kobe, Pau Gasol. Mm-hmm. I got to believe those Laker greats cannot be proud of what unfolded this year. A team that LeBron James created in Los Angeles. Yeah,
when I think of these other teams that won championships for the Lakers and these players that you mentioned, I think of homemade versus like this manufactured, right? They're printed and ready to go superstars that have proven it somewhere else, and for whatever reason you think plucking them from one situation and putting them in another and putting them with all of these other big names is somehow going to, result in championships like other teams may have done. But essentially, all those other guys you just named, they are homegrown. They are Lakers through and through. And so they started from the bottom, and then they were there, and they did it time and time again. And, I don't know, maybe in the span of LeBron's career, maybe only having one championship as a Laker, should he not get another one, will come back to haunt him in a way, right? Because it was weird when he joined the Lakers, right? Because he wasn't one of those homemade Lakers that we've come to know and love and revere in the world of basketball. And it was like, is he trying to insert himself into something that maybe he shouldn't insert himself into? And that seems to be the way it is now. I mean, he wins that championship and you're like, oh, okay, maybe he'll be up there in the ranks. But in the grand scheme of things, are we going to remember LeBron James as a Laker or just LeBron James as, the king of basketball?
Great question. And we got to get Jeremy Kolok's thoughts on this. He is our Soundscape stylist, a big-time basketball guy, college and pro, and a huge Spurs fan. Jeremy, your thoughts on the Spurs last night clinching a play-in berth and what Shannon and I have been talking about as well, just the collapse of the Los Angeles Lakers this season.
I think you worded it perfectly, Chris. You said something like the Spurs are on fuego. I mean, they are on fire at just the right time. They're a joy to watch or to listen to, with Bill Schooning on the call with Chris Duel in the building and here. They're so fun to watch, even without DeJounte Murray. I can't get enough of the Spurs right now. I love this young Spurs team, and I cannot wait to see them play in games that matter a little bit more here once we get to the play. And I think next Tuesday.
Yeah,
I just looked at it. But the Lakers, man, I think when I walked in, the first thing Charlie Parker said to me was, "How about them Lakers?" And it's funny to me that's how powerful they are at the end of the day.
Yes,
that's the first topic that's
in San Antonio. When we clinch,
Texas.
How about them Lakers?
Right, but the Lakers are the first thing that gets mentioned. But so let's just look ahead for the Lakers here. Russell Westbrook has a $47 million player option. Do y'all think he's going to think about turning that down?
Hell no, he's not. Wow. I didn't even realize it was that number.
That's
Jeremy,
higher than LeBron and Anthony Davis.
7, and he's from LA. He went to UCLA.
Oh, he's
Russell
robbing
Westbrook.
them.
A 40. Yeah, exactly. That's highway robbery. The fans should rise up. Say, dude, you got to go. You got to either restructure or take one for the team, because we hate you. Wow. All right. So much to talk about this morning. Tiger Woods. Oh my God. I know locally, in Central and South Texas, we're kind of excited about what the Spurs did last night, but Tiger Woods was the big story with his announcement yesterday. We will get into Tiger Woods. We'll talk all things NBA, NFL, Tiger Woods, the Masters. Shannon Salty Sweeney will be giving us her review on Winning Time, Rise of the Lakers Dynasty. The three of us recommend it on HBO and HBO Max, and it's a timely review on a day like this when things are really, really bad in Lakerland. You can join us on the live video feed on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. The free iHeartRadio app with a button. You can talk back to us instantly, that microphone button at the bottom of the screen, or dial us up all morning long, 800-707-9760. And in the 8 o'clock hour, the voice of the San Antonio Spurs, Bill Schooning, on this big morning in Spurs history. We'll get into all of it all morning long. Thank you for hanging out with us. You're listening to the Chris Duel Show. Man, I was up, that game last night against the Nuggets was a little later than usual. I've been working OAI's morning show this week and since last week. I'm reading something. So anyway, man, I'm feeling the sleep deprivation effects here, but we'll be fine. Steve Duraco, good morning. The original Rock, Kevin Munkin here. Foamfoot 420, aka Amber, says, "I told you the Spurs would make the playoffs." You were right. I had my doubts. I thought there was a chance. I wasn't saying they're not, but I did have some doubts. So, all right, who do I see in here? I see Tracy Bogart, Hector Gomez, Joe Garcia, Jorge Chapa Jr., Sam Tobias, Kevin Monk, Anthony Del Toro, Roberto Carlos Gayton. Hello, Roberto. Good morning. Luisa Alanis, Ralph Balderas, Eric Winchester. I think I said Kevin Monk. John Williams, Steve DeRocco, the original Rock. Yeah, Roberto, thank God for coffee. I'm going to have some more right now. Yeah, Steve DeRocco, I am going to, at one point, and hopefully I get a nap, Steve DeRocco and I are founding members of the San Antonio Polar Bear Club. So we are hitting a swimming pool this afternoon, but not the way Clint Proctor does as he trains for the Ironman. Good morning, Clint Proctor. What is up? So, yeah, Roberto, I'm going for the coffee right now. By the way, in honor of the Spurs, my playoffs t-shirt this morning. Yeah, it's great watching the Spurs, and it's great being on that broadcast. But when you got to do the early morning news on WOAI and your wake-up call is 3 a.m, according to Fitbit, which tracks my sleep, I'll just show you how much sleep I got according to Fitbit. Lucinda Sullivan, good morning, with the coffee emoji. See, the screen's a little bigger like that, so I'll do it that way. Here comes my sleep for last night, which is, and this is kind of happens on a Spurs game night. Yeah, Sam Tobias, where you been, man? Here's my sleep last night. Let me see if the focus will. Yep, there it is. 3 hours and 13 minutes. That ain't good. And LeBron James, forget exactly what the number is, but it's way over 8. LeBron James, realizes the importance of sleep for health, and it repairs your body on a cellular level when you go into deep sleep and REM sleep. I think he gets a minimum of like 10 hours of sleep per night. Because it makes total sense. Yeah. Well, and Roberto, here's my problem though. This happens to me most mornings. To stay awake, or at least, I'd be awake anyway, but to do the shows, I guzzle coffee, and then I go home and I try to take a nap. And because I've been guzzling coffee, I can't fall asleep. It's a crazy cycle. I know. Yeah. 3 hours and 13 minutes, Kevin. This was the total. But yeah. See, I used to do the Spurs. I had an afternoon show before Mike Taylor moved to Hawaii. And doing the afternoon show and then the Spurs, that was doable. Doing the morning show and doing the Spurs, not so much. All right, let me see here.
Frontline Shield lets you take your dog everywhere, no matter how you find it. Frontline flea and tick protection. Here, there, everywhere. Visit frontline.com to learn more.
And now a message from Puffs Tissues. It's that time of year when spring's in full swing and explosions of life make allergies really sing. Stipple and swipe can be a moment of dread as noses angry and red. Puffs by your side to soften all your blows. Or pushing your nose. Especially during allergy season, a nose in deserves.
All right. Woo! Woo! All right. Christopher Silva, welcome in. Spurs MVP besides Murray. Wow, that's a great question, Roberto. Devin Vassell. I'd have to go look at numbers. And it would be very close. But Devin Vassell, Jakob Poeltl has elevated his game. He's better this year than he's been. Then a bunch of Keldon Johnson's playing great. Josh Primo played very well last night. So I don't know, man. But it is certainly DeJounte. But again, for them to get that win last night, Christopher and Roberto, without DeJounte is amazing. In Denver. Crazy.
We're back. It's the Chris
There you go. That music will get you going in the morning. Jeremy Kolok, your Soundscape Stylist, the hardest working man in radio. It's the Chris Duel Show with Shannon, Salty, Sweeney on a beautiful morning in America as the Lakers have been vanquished. Adios, amigos. We'll see you later. 3 games left for the Lakers, then it's done. 3 games left in the regular season. Spurs with their win last night over the Denver Nuggets, 116-97, combined with the Lakers' loss at Phoenix, 121-110 last night. Spurs clinch the play-in tournament They will be in at least the number 10 slot, still with a shot at the 9 slot. That's where the New Orleans Pelicans are. Pelicans beat the Sacramento Kings last night, 123-109. With 3 games left, Pelicans lead the Spurs by 1 game. Should the Spurs pull into a tie with the Pelicans, Spurs would win that tiebreaker if the season ends that way. And then the do or die play-in game next Tuesday night, 6 nights from tonight, would be in San Antonio if the Spurs get to number 9. Otherwise, it will be in New Orleans. We've talked about that. We'll talk more about that. Voice of the San Antonio Spurs, Bill Schoening, going to join us just after 8:30 this morning. And in a little bit, we also have Shannon Salty Shakedown in the next hour, sports history, sports birthdays. You can join us all morning long. You're welcome to join us on the phone lines, 800-707-9760. Of course, the live video feed is up and running. That's one way you're interacting not only with us, but a bunch of other sports fans in real time on the live video feed. You can comment constantly and interact. You can get there through Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. And don't forget about that free iHeartRadio app, which we're always crystal clear there. You listen to us via AM 1300 The Zone or Ticket 760. And at the very bottom now, a new feature, a microphone button. You can talk back to us live and in real time. You can leave us a message. We get it instantly, and we play those on the air. All right. It is coming up on 6:41, and what we do at this time every morning is the high five play of the day, where we hand out a high five or 2 or more. The high five play of the day is appropriately sponsored by High Five, 2 locations in the Austin area. Shannon Salty Sweeney knows all about High Five. She's been seen there multiple times, and sometimes wielding an axe, because they've got axe throwing at High Five. Shannon, for people who do not yet know, tell them about High Five.
High Five, the perfect entertainment venue for you, your friends, your family, even your enemies, because they do have that axe throwing. That goes on there. And it is Wednesday, which means you've got all day happy hour, which includes $2 off apps, wells, and cocktails. Typically happy hour just from 4 to 6. So get over there on a Wednesday and enjoy happy hour all day long. Chris, speaking of apps and food, which has been a common theme lately, I guess that goes to show that I should maybe start eating breakfast. But today's high five goes to a food company, specifically the PepsiCo company. They're the creators and owners and distributors of Cracker Jacks, which a very popular item, right? And for all you baseball lovers, obviously that item gets a shout out in the "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" song. I didn't realize Cracker Jacks are 125 years old. That is quite the run.
Been here forever.
That's a snack item, because I think back to like snacks I used to enjoy in the 90s. They don't even exist anymore, and yet they're going on how many years now? 125. That is quite the run. But they're changing things up, sir. They're officially adding a counterpart to Cracker Jacks, and that is with Cracker Jills. They are being released this year. You'll be able to buy them in pro ballparks around the country. You can also get some if you donate $5 or more to the Women's Sports Foundation. The point of this is to help raise awareness and prop up and celebrate women in sports. The bags, they come in 5 different varieties, all the same product inside, but the bags themselves have a variety of women sports heroes, athletes on the bag. No one specific, but the designs are all going to be different. They've also got a new version of the "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" song to include Cracker Jill, with recording artist Normani as the singer for that, who helped realize that vision. But I just think it's great that they're including women in this, right? I don't know that me as a female, I've never looked at Cracker Jacks. I'm like, why can't they be Cracker Jills? Because, like I said, it's still the same food product. But it is great to see them making the effort. And so a high five to them, and hopefully those will be enjoyed, like I said, throughout ballparks all season long. And I'll probably see them on store shelves here sometime soon. Now, Chris, I haven't eaten Cracker Jacks or Cracker Jills, we'll call them now, in quite some time. I remember, it's popcorn. It's caramel popcorn, and then there's peanuts in there as well. I typically avoided the peanuts and just ate the popcorn. But popcorn to me is like I've got to be in a mood, and then I have to accept the fact that there will be something stuck in my teeth until I'm able to get to a flosser at some point in time. So I can't say it's my favorite snack, but I guess when you pair it with baseball, it does make a lot of sense.
Yeah, and it sure does have a distinctive taste. That candy-coated popcorn.
I can taste it just talking about it.
Oh, yeah. And then you got some peanuts in there, so you get that salty peanuts taste. And I remember when I was a kid, there was a jingle for Cracker Jacks commercials, and there's something you left out, and I don't even know if they still have them anymore. But the jingle was candy-coated popcorn, peanuts, and a prize. That's what you get in Cracker Jacks. So it's the prize. Do they still, Shannon? And I wonder if these Cracker Jills, and I'm looking, by the way, I see the artwork from Yahoo Finance, and I'm looking at, and it's real cool because as you mentioned, there's 5 different varieties, a variety of different young women on the cover of, different colors, different hair colors, different attire. And it does say on the bag, celebrating women in sports, which is cool.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't see, oh yeah, it does. It says prize inside.
Oh, there's still prizes.
The 125 years. Now, again, it's usually a really cheesy little prize.
Yeah, like a sticker.
Paper booklet or a sticker or something.
It's choking hazards will get you.
Yeah, it's a choking hazard. But I remember being a kid, and it's brilliant marketing. It's one of the reasons Cracker Jack has been around for 125 years. As a kid, it was like, oh man, where's my prize? Let me. Oh, there it is. I feel it in there. Dig it out of the box, and I would now. That's the first thing. I'd open the box, dig in the Cracker Jacks for my prize, pull it out. And it was incredibly cheesy, but as a kid, it's like, no, man, this is my prize. This is my prize from Cracker Jack. I'm excited. So This is cool. And and like you said, Shannon, I don't think there were any girls or women out there just traumatized through life because it was called Cracker Jack and not Cracker Jill. But I do like that. And again, with you, high five to PepsiCo. That just to celebrate women in sports, and it's long overdue. And any further affirmation is good. And this, I mean, you talk about Americana, and you talk about an American iconic ballpark snack. My God, hot dogs, a drink, and some Cracker Jacks. And as you mentioned, though, I can't wait to hear the new version of "Take Me Out to the Ball Game."
I've got it pulled up. I'm gonna see if I can play it from my end here. It's pretty short, but let's see if this works. If not, we'll send it to Jeremy and see if we can pull it up. But let's try it here.
Cool.
Take me out to the ball game. Take me. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jill. No one can stop you if you have the will. So let's root for a girl. To the game, and we'll run, throw with never a doubt. It's a new
It's a new ball game.
There it is.
Shannon, I dig it. I dig it. I know there's going to be haters out there, and I know there's going to be cynics, but that was cool. To revision, take me out to the ball game via Cracker Jill.
Yeah.
I why not? It's very cool.
Yeah, they did a good job with the lyrics. I really thought they were just going to replace Cracker Jack with Cracker Jill. I was like, how is that going to rhyme? How are we going to Eminem that where he changes syllables and things like that with words? But that was pretty good. I'll get that up on our blog page so people can see it. There's also kind of attached to it before the song itself, a kind of a cool video intro that they've done. And PepsiCo, they're also donating $200,000 to the Women's Sports Foundation with the release of Cracker Jills. So lots of great things happening here.
All right, let me see if Jeremy Kolok is going to jump on board the Cracker Jill love train, or might he
be that
not
guy,
dig it at
Jeremy? Be
all?
that guy.
And it's okay if you're that guy. That's because I'm sure, and I'll go look at Twitter later today. I'm sure there's going to be some people slinging some mud at this, but
there's people upset about this already.
Oh, how dare they?
You should see the first comment
they?
on the song video. You should see that one because Yeah.
Can you describe it without being?
I mean, there's nothing, no
FCC
bad words.
non-compliant?
They say, you know,
Okay.
she's an incredible singer, but why would she attach herself to something like this? Next, we will have to see Cracker insert preferred pronoun here and need an entire aisle just for all the different stupid boxes.
Wow. Hey, way to just celebrate. Way to be positive and affirm goodness. Jeremy, and again, we won't jump on you if you don't like it. How do you feel about this?
Oh, I loved it. I mean, that makes me want to buy Cracker Jacks, to be honest. And I have a weird,
Cracker
not a
Jills.
weird, but I used to cover Cracker Jills, of course. I used to cover the Oklahoma State baseball team for about a year and a half, almost 2 years. And they would I would walk home with my backpack full of Cracker Jacks, now Cracker Jills. And so I never got tired of them. And there's you mentioned it, Chris. I love this connection that they have with ballparks and with baseball. Like, can you imagine going to Minute Maid Park or Wolf Stadium or Dell Diamond and they didn't have Cracker Jacks?
Yeah.
Or Cracker Jills now? I mean, that would be an international travesty. So I'm on board with this. And the tune was just perfect. And well done playing it on your end, Shannon. That was perfect.
And I even think, Shannon, tomorrow is opening day for Major League Baseball. We're certainly going to celebrate that tomorrow. Let's play the song again tomorrow for opening day. How can you not like that song? And how could she stoop to that level? Because it's fun and it's goodness and it's celebrating. And I love the lyric. It's a new ball game. That was clever. That was clever and visionary. That was way cool. So, Shannon, are you, and let me ask each of you, and I know the opening day is special. I dig opening day in baseball. I will be honest with you. Then 162 games on that baseball schedule. A little much for me. I must admit, even though I'm an Astros fan, I'm not going to be on board for all 162. I got a life to lead, cha-cha. I don't have that much time left in my life to give to watch and listen to every single Astros game for 162 games. However, Shannon, opening day is it's a special moment in when we're going to have opening day and the Masters opening on the same day tomorrow. That's a pretty big day in America.
Yeah, big week. I went to opening day for the Express yesterday, and that I always enjoyed that because you do have like it's at its peak, I think, of liveliness and all of the people that you walk into and recognize there. And had our station, we've got great seats, and they gave me some tickets, so I was able to enjoy the game with a very nice view. I will say one overly enthusiastic, maybe a fan because she was still wearing an Astros jersey, but was super like loud and obnoxious and commenting on everything. And at the same time, like carrying on the loudest conversation in between whenever she felt the need to comment. And I was like, I wouldn't make it. Like if I was someone who had season tickets to any sporting event and that was the person sitting behind me at everyone, I would ask to move or I wouldn't go. Don't be that person.
Yeah. And Shannon, I told you my experience at the NCAA tournament at the AT&T Center. We had this Houston Cougars fan in front of us who would constantly stand up, and he was obnoxious. And I had some people seated next to me. I had like a guy in his 70s who used to write for Sports Illustrated who couldn't see and couldn't stand up. So I hate it when a fan is just inconsiderate, obnoxious, and stupid. So. Wow. I want to hear more, though, coming up, your experience yesterday at Dell Diamond with the Round Rock Express. A big morning. Spurs clinch the play-in tournament. We haven't even gotten to Tiger Woods yet. We'll talk Tiger as tomorrow, the Masters and opening day of baseball, going to be absolutely huge. Coming up in the next hour, Shannon's Salty Shakedown, sports history, sports birthdays, and a whole lot more. Jeremy Kolok is your Soundscape Stylist. She is the salty one. I'm Chris, with you till 9 on the Chris Duel Show. Good morning, Beth Settle. Good morning, Carl Fisher. Good morning, Anthony Del Toro. I'm gonna go heat my coffee. I had some dreams. They were clouds in my coffee. Clouds in my coffee, and you're so vain. You probably think this song is about you. Tracy Bogart, Hector Gomez, Joe Garcia, Jorge Chapa Jr., Sam Tobias, Kevin Monk, Anthony Del Toro, Roberto Carlos Gayton, Luisa Alanis, Ralph Balderas, Eric Winchester, Kevin Monk, Amber, a.k.a. Foamfoot 420, John Williams, Steve Duraco, Clint Proctor, Lucinda Sullivan, Christopher Silva, I think I said John Williams, Barney Segura, Carl Fisher. Those are the people I see. Wow. Wearing my playoffs shirt this morning. Lucinda with the multiple coffee emoji. I didn't hear you. What'd you say? Say that one more. The music is so loud. I didn't catch that. One more time. Sorry. Oh, playoffs? Yeah, we got to start hitting that as a drop. It's one of my favorites. All right, let us. Everybody else, I see 17 total people in here right now. And I see the number, which is combined Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. So good morning, all 17 of you at this moment. I know if you're on like Facebook, you'll see a lower number, but we're combining. There's Jason is in here from YouTube. A lot of you are in here from Facebook, and some of you are in here from Twitter. All right. Jason, yes, they can. The Spurs are one game behind New Orleans with 3 to play. If they tie New Orleans, Spurs have the tiebreaker. So, yes. Spurs win 3, and New Orleans goes 2-1, or the Spurs win 2, and New Orleans goes 1-2. Or the Spurs win 1 and New Orleans goes 0-3. Those are your 3 scenarios. And that would give the Spurs the home court advantage in the play-in 9 versus 10 game next Tuesday night. Since I'm moving away for a sec, I'll give you the bigger Jeremy Kolok screen. I'm heating my coffee. I'll be right back.
State Farm is there. Call or visit statefarm.com for a quote today.
My heart was racing just making spaghetti. I could have waited to tell my doctor, but I didn't wait.
I was short of breath just reading a book. I could have delayed telling my doctor, but I didn't wait.
They told their doctors and found out they have atrial fibrillation, a condition which makes it about 5 times more likely to have a stroke. If you have one or more of these symptoms, irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness, this is no time to wait. Contact your doctor.
Brought to you by Bristol Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Woo! Carl, that would be cool, man. Yeah, I know Mike Taylor's got the big missions game excursion coming up. But yeah, I'd love to do that too. We should look into that now. I don't know when and we need to get somebody on from the missions. When the Flying Chanclas games are those Thursday nights? I got to go look that up. I used to know that. So, I mean, I like the missions, of course, but Flying Chanclas, man. If I have a choice, and I've got a Flying Chanclas t-shirt. I still need a hat. Carl says I need a Yeti for my coffee. I don't have a Yeti, but I've got a HEB knockoff. That's the Cody. Not nearly as cool, but not nearly as expensive. So there's that. I do have the Spurs glasses this morning. Carl says Thursday night for Flying Chanclas. Okay. But yeah, I would love to do that. That'd be cool. And once the Spurs season ends, so it's just kind of hard for me during Spurs season due to sleep deprivation. I get off work and my first thought is, oh my God, I need to try to get a nap because I'm dying. So after the Spurs season ends, which hopefully won't be until June, they go on a big run. Someday that's going to happen, by the way. Somebody's going to get into just like a 16 seed or like St. Joseph's, a 12 seed getting to the Elite Eight. One of these days, and I know the play-in tournament's just a year old, but one of these days, somebody's going to eke into the play-in tournament and then get hot and knock some people off in the playoffs. Could be this year with the Spurs. But as we go beyond the Spurs season, whenever it ends, then let's look into some possible missions baseball action. I'll first have to spend like 2 weeks to catch up on my sleep. Been sleep deprived since I think mid-October. Oh, thank God for coffee. All right, let me see here. Yeah, we should get into Tiger here. Woo! $2 beer on Thursdays and Flying Chanclas. That's beautiful. Rick, good morning. Rick says, what a night. Denver had something to play for, too. It was not like they laid down for the Spurs. Yeah, Jokic goes for 41 and like 17 rebounds? I don't have it up in front of me, but it was something crazy. And Spurs do that without DeJounte Murray last night. Makes it all the more impressive. So that's way cool. Here we come. I'm going to mute a little bit for our evil Facebook overlords.
This is the Chris Duel Show.
Here we go.
Now, Chris Duel.
Glory, glory, hallelujah, and praise be to Saint Gregory Charles Popovich, as last night the San Antonio Spurs, without the services of DeJounte Murray, go into Ball Arena in Denver, and they take care of business in a big way. They beat a very good Denver Nuggets team by double digits, 116-97. The Joker, Nikola Jokic, had a double-double, went for 41 points. The Nuggets wanted it, but the Spurs wanted it more. And your San Antonio Spurs, not only are they red hot right now, having won 7 out of 8, and the last 3 without DeJounte Murray. And I know 2 of those were against Portland, so you can poo-poo those if you want. But the bottom line is, with the win last night, coupled with the Lakers' loss in Phoenix, the San Antonio Spurs have earned a play-in berth. The play-in game between seed number 9 and seed number 10 will be next Tuesday night, 6 nights from tonight, either at the AT&T Center in San Antonio. If the Spurs can get to that number 9 seed, they're 1 game behind the Pelicans with 3 to play, and they hold the tiebreaker against the Pelicans, so all they have to do is tie them. Or if they are where they are right now in the 10 slot, that play-in game, winner go home, 9 versus 10, will be at the Smoothie King Center in New Orleans. We talked a lot about that in the 6 o'clock hour. It's one of the big stories of the day, but nationally, probably the big story is Tiger Woods. We'll get into that. Welcome in. It is the Chris Duel Show with Shannon, Salty, Sweeney. Jeremy Kolok is your Soundscape Stylist. You're always welcome on the phone lines, 800-707-9760. Don't want to dial us on the phone. Maybe you just don't want to deal with people, but you got something to say. Go to that free iHeartRadio app. There's a little microphone button at the bottom. You can leave us an instant message. We get it instantly. We hear it. We play it on the air. It's way cool. And you can also join us on the live video feed via Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Shannon, Salty, Sweeney. I'm wearing my Spurs hard hat because winning 7 out of 8 is hard for the Spurs. And I mean, who'd have thunk it? The Lakers free fall and collapse. I mean, as recently as a week or 2 ago, I was hopeful, Shannon, the Spurs would find a way into the play-in tournament, but I was not cocky. I was not confident. It was not a sure thing, but yeah, here we are. And they did it 3 games early. It didn't even come down to the final game. They're in, which is way cool.
Well, and that brings us to our poll question today, Chris, because now that the Spurs are in the play-in tournament, we're asking how deep will they go in the postseason. 44% currently voting for one and done. Another 44% saying win, one, then elimination. Nobody voting win, play in an advance, but 11% saying a deep playoff run to surprise a lot of NBA fans out there. But that's over on Ticket 760 AM 13 on the Zone Twitter. You can vote in that today and let us know what you think. How far will they go now that they've made their way? Now, what's their total win count? They surpassed the quote unquote experts in that, correct?
Yep.
Exceeding
Experts
expectations.
Over-under at the beginning of the season was 28.
There we go.
Some sports books had them at 28.5. Spurs are at 34 wins right now. 6 games better than expectations with 3 to go. They could get to 37. And Shannon, as you mentioned on the poll question, what will the Spurs do in the play-in tournament? It will, because there's an outside chance Minnesota could catch Denver. Minnesota is in the 7. They're 2 back of Denver with 3 to play. Unlikely. So the high probability is the way they do the play-in tournament, 9 plays 10 and 7 plays 8. So Pelicans will play the Spurs, and almost certainly Timberwolves will play the Clippers in the 7 versus 8. So loser of 7 versus 8 takes on the winner of 9 versus 10. I got a good feeling, Shannon. These Spurs are red hot. I got a feeling they can beat the Pelicans. in New Orleans or in San Antonio. A year ago, the Spurs went to the play-in tournament and lost. I think they're better than they were a year ago, even though DeMar DeRozan, Patty Mills, Rudy Gay, they're all gone. They were here a year ago for that. I think the Spurs beat the Pelicans and advance and take on the loser of 7 versus 8, and that will be either Clippers or Timberwolves. And I think they'll have Timberwolves don't scare me that much. Neither do the Clippers. I think the Spurs, Shannon, have a legitimate shot at being the first team ever, and it's only the second year of the play-in tournament, but it's still cool to exploit this opportunity and go get that number 8 seed, win the play-in tournament. If they do that, they would get to the number 8 slot and have to take on the Phoenix Suns, the team with the best record in the NBA. I got a feeling the Spurs have a very, very good shot to do that.
I like that you have that feeling. I will be focused on my Mavericks and what goes down with them.
And that'll be the Spurs finale, by the way. Spurs Mavericks.
That's right.
Will that matter on Sunday for the Spurs? Will they need that one to maybe catch the Pelicans? That's going to be a good one. And I know I talk a lot of Spurs. We talk a lot of Spurs. By the way, Bill Schoening, the voice of the San Antonio Spurs, going to join us at 8:30. But Shannon, you are a huge Mavericks fan. I'm sure there's a lot of other Mavericks fans who listen to this show. How you feeling about the Dallas Mavericks as I look at the standings? Number 4, which is very, very good. You're on the top of the standings. You still got a shot at Golden State here. So Mavericks could get to number 3 in these final 3 games. But importantly, if you're where the Mavericks are right now, they'll have an opening series home court advantage, probably against the Utah Jazz. How are your Mavericks and how do you feel about them?
I'm liking them so far. I think issues they've had in the past as far as getting to the postseason, it was injury. And when you lose someone who you're used to having in that rotation with a lot of minutes, and you get into the playoffs, and you're not ready for that kind of effect on your team. And obviously with Porzingis, that was a huge deal. He just always seemed to get hurt at the worst time, so it disrupted what the flow was for the Mavericks. And I think right now they've got a good thing going. I'm seeing a lot of headlines about people now as we're getting close to the end of the season talking about Luka's minutes. I mean, just the other day, he played 39 minutes. Obviously, he's putting up a ton of points. But as we get to these last few games, you mentioned the Spurs Mavericks will close out the season against each other. I wouldn't be surprised that we see less and less of Luka as we get closer to the playoffs.
Yeah, and again, if you look at it from a Spurs perspective, that final game of the season on Sunday, Spurs at Dallas against the Mavericks, what happens if the Mavericks don't need that game? They're locked in, but the Spurs do, and Luka doesn't play. I mean, obviously, if you're a competitor, you want to play a team at their best, but just being realistic, that could be a factor going into that game if it matters for the Spurs at that point, or the Mavericks for that matter. All right, Shannon, we've talked about it. This Spurs story and the upcoming NBA playoffs, a big, big story. But I got to believe the biggest story in sports since yesterday when we went off the air, and it was just a few hours later that Tiger Woods at Augusta met with the media and said, he was going to play 9 more holes today in practice rounds. The Masters opens tomorrow. He was going to see how he felt. But the big headline, he says, as of now, and that is yesterday, he's going to play. He's going to go in the Masters, barring something unforeseen today. Shannon, I love this story. Tiger Woods, I think maybe you brought this up yesterday. It has been said by many people, not only does Tiger Woods move the needle in golf, he is the needle in golf. He is their superstar, like Muhammad Ali in boxing. When Tiger, and I'm not, Shannon, I'm not a huge golf guy. I like it. I pay attention. You're more into it than I am. Certainly Andy Everett is into it more than anybody. But when Tiger Woods plays, I'm in. It's must-see TV. And especially when Tiger Woods is making a comeback or is a big storyline, I am absolutely in. I love this story. I'm so excited. We're almost certainly going to see Tiger Woods play in the Masters on Thursday.
Yeah, I mean, we know what kind of crowds he draws, and obviously, I think if the people who are probably most excited are the broadcasters, right? I think it's CBS who carries the Masters, right? They're like, the eyeballs. I mean, just look at the people who are following around for practice, and look at the attention that'll probably get for the match itself. It's just incredible that he's even going to do it, considering that accident and considering the rods and everything going on with his leg. But at the same time, it's very Tiger, and he's obviously one of those athletes like Michael Jordan. Like, we will get documentaries, on films, on books, on everything when his time does come to a close as far as playing professionally. And this, to me, feels like an arc in that story. No matter how he might end up playing, the fact that he's getting to this moment and seems to be doing so confidently as well. And we'll let you hear from Tiger right now on what he said yesterday. And the thought that we've heard from Andy and many others is Tiger would only put himself in this position if he thought he stood a chance to win.
Well, as of right now, I feel like I am going to play. As of right now, I'm going to play 9 more holes tomorrow. My recovery has been good. I've been very excited about how I've recovered each and every day, and that's been the challenge. That's why I came up here and tested out for 27 holes, because we played the par 3 course. Charlie couldn't help himself. So was able to play 27 holes that day, and at home testing it. But it's the recovery, how am I going to get all the swelling out and recover for the next day? And my team has been fantastic and worked very hard. So we've got another day of 9 more holes, and then come game time.
You've said countless times throughout your career that you don't enter a golf tournament unless you think that you can win it. Mm-hmm. So the question is simple. Do you think you can win the Masters this week?
I do.
I love it. Shannon, I love the attitude. And I was just thinking, listening to him, Tiger's the GOAT in golf. No question. I mean, and I know purists, you can cite me some Byron Nelson or some Arnold Palmer or some Jack Nicklaus. God bless you and God love you. Tiger's the GOAT. I think of all sports, Shannon, I mentioned Muhammad Ali in boxing, obviously Tom Brady in football, Michael Jordan in basketball. We could have the debate about baseball. Who is it? Who's the greatest baseball player ever? Maybe Hank Aaron. He's the home run king. I don't know. We could talk about that. Shannon, this is so historic. This is like Michael Jordan saying, I'm coming back. Brady, I'm coming back. Muhammad Ali, I'm coming back. Tiger Woods. And I love, so many people thought that, Tiger, if he came back, it was going to be symbolic and, oh, isn't that nice? Yeah, he can walk. We're going to give him a participation medal. And I mentioned to you yesterday, Shannon, on Monday, I'm driving home after our show and I'm listening to the Dan Patrick show on our airwaves. And some caller, he was a trucker, saying worst of the weekend was Tiger Woods coming back and getting all the attention that he's getting. And the guy said, I can't wait for Tiger to miss the cut so that all of the golfers who deserve the attention at the Masters will get it. Just such a cynical, negative, ignorant, I believe, attitude, because Shannon, as you just mentioned, I don't think Tiger does this if he doesn't think he can win. And we just heard his own words. He's in it to win it. And while, him even being there is unlikely, and him playing on Thursday just weeks ago and certainly months ago would have been unlikely. Shannon, can you imagine for a moment if Tiger is in contention and if we get to Sunday and this dude in a miracle story where there's even question as to whether or not he can walk the course for 72 holes. Can you imagine if this dude has a shot at winning it as big as Thursday will be, just to see him out on that course at Augusta? If he is in contention and in it on Sunday, oh my God, it's going to be one of the biggest sports moments in history if that happens. And it's still a huge moment in sports history on Thursday when he takes the course.
Going back to that lovely gentleman caller, it's the idea that Tiger doesn't deserve the attention. Tell me when and where that ever came about. He's the best in the world. He's won everything numerous times, and you add this storyline on top of it. I guess this guy just thinks that Tiger is going to be in last place, and it's, you know, the straggler, the why bother even being here guy. Because there's always a chance that Tiger will make it to the weekend, and then, as you mentioned, if he makes it to Sunday and he's wearing that Tiger red and he's wearing it with a purpose because he is in the hunt, as he usually is anyway, you know, why not believe that he could pull it off? Because, you know, the adrenaline that will probably be going through him and the excitement. I mean, he's probably going to enjoy himself maybe more than he's ever had in a tournament because of the meaning behind this one. And whether or not that carries him to another win, will remain to be seen. But interesting, that comment about, you know, Tiger just doing it for attention, because that comment seems like an attention grab to me.
Yeah. Jason Paniagua on the live video feed. This is an interesting comment from him. He writes, "This is bigger than Michael Jordan's comeback. Who in sports has come back from a major auto accident and almost lost his leg the way Tiger has?" Shannon, that's a tremendous point. We've seen great comeback. Ali had great comebacks in sports. Tom Brady not retiring, going from the Patriots to the Buccaneers. Michael Jordan leaves basketball for a while to try baseball, comes back. There have been great comebacks in sports, but for any athlete to come back from a major auto accident and be a legitimate professional is a big story. But it's Tiger. If this would have been any golfer on the tour, if this would have been Rory McIlroy, got in a car accident and came back, wow, that would be a huge story and we would celebrate it. But it's Tiger Woods, for crying out loud. High drama and just such an incredible storyline coming at us later today. I'm sure we'll see footage of his 9 holes at Augusta. I'm sure he'll talk with the media again today. And then tomorrow, fasten your seatbelts. That's going to be a momentous day in sports.
Yeah, that is pretty interesting, because Alex Smith comes to mind. It wasn't an actual car wreck, but as we know, football plays are basically just car wrecks on repeat. And obviously his leg injury, which required 17 surgeries, and, you know, anyone who watched, I think it was a 30 for 30, it was gruesome. You know, much like Tiger, he was in a position where he could have lost his leg, and obviously he never reached the heights that one would wish to in the NFL, and so never got to that Tiger level of fame, fortune, and fandom. But he was a number 1 overall pick. He was a multiple-time Pro Bowler, and ultimately he did come back and play in a game of football and got a win over the Eagles to end his career. So, in recent memory, that and the ovation he got when it happened, and the support he got from around the league and his cohorts, that to me in recent memory is a comparison I've got to Tiger potentially starting and likely starting at the Masters tomorrow.
My goodness. Opening day of baseball and the Masters with Tiger tomorrow. Jeremy Kolok, your thoughts on the comeback of Tiger Woods, barring something unforeseen today when he plays his 9 holes. He's going to play on Thursday, and he says emphatically he believes he can win the whole thing. How do you feel about it?
I think he can win the whole thing too. And obviously I'm not in anywhere even remotely close to Tiger Woods' circle and his camp, his entourage, basically not even in the same stratosphere as it. But every day I see another Tiger Woods story or more Tiger Woods stories coming out from legitimate golf writers, guys that wouldn't put their reputation on the line by saying the things they've been saying if they weren't true. And up until this Tiger press conference, I mean, I was just getting more giddy by the day. I couldn't even explain it because, I mean, you got Scott Van Pelt going on Dan Patrick and saying, like, what he's hearing is it's more than that just Tiger's gonna play that I'm really excited about. It's this these guys are hearing from the people close to Tiger that there's a zip to the ball, that that Tiger's movements and his mechanics they look just like Tiger Woods. They look like the Tiger Woods from 5 years ago, from 3 years ago. They look like Tiger Woods that didn't go through this horrific car accident and that had to go on this long road to recovery and rehab just to get back to walking. And that's what has me most excited is these guys that really, really know Tiger's game, like the back of their hand. They're not just talking about Tiger getting out there and swinging and Tiger walking the course. They're saying that Tiger Woods looks like Tiger Woods, which is unthinkable.
My goodness gracious, how amazing. And again, Shannon, I cite the goats of all time, Ali, Brady, Jordan, Serena Williams. I mean, in any sport, think of the goats. That's why I have to keep like pinching myself or reminding myself this is history. And when Tiger's done, there's never going to be another Tiger, just like there's never going to be another Michael Jordan. And there'll never be another Muhammad Ali, and there'll never be another Tom Brady. So when we've got these guys or gals playing in sports at the highest level, you got to savor it. I mean, and who knows? How many more Masters at any age does Tiger Woods still have in him? And now with the physical challenges after the accident, it is just something to behold tomorrow and savor. Shannon, I'm so excited about it.
It's a huge day. It's going to be, I'm excited for just a relaxing weekend of taking in the Masters, because as we know, it's a tradition unlike anything other. It's my favorite part.
and tomorrow, and maybe when we talk Masters like a golf broadcaster, we should probably lower our voice a little bit. But tomorrow, the four of us, you, Jeremy, me, and Andy Everett, the four of us are going to draft 4 golfers in a little fantasy challenge for the Masters. Who among us will draft Tiger Woods, I wonder? Because I mean, do you take your first round draft pick? Do you just go all in and go Tiger, or do you say I can get him in the second round? I don't know. It's going to be interesting. Mm-hmm. And I'm the guy who but I didn't. I wanted Coach K to go out on top, and I didn't stick to my convictions on my bracket. So did I learn my lesson or no? I don't know. And I would have been wrong anyway because Coach K didn't do it. Coming up, Shannon's Salty Shakedown, the midweek Salty Shakedown. We've got sports history, sports birthdays for you, and a big 8 o'clock hour. We'll talk more Tiger. We'll talk more NBA, Spurs, NFL, and more. And just after 8:30, about an hour from now, a little over an hour, the voice of the San Antonio Spurs, Bill Schoening, his thoughts on the Spurs punching their ticket to the play-in tournament, which they did overnight with their win over the Denver Nuggets, combined with the Lakers' loss at Phoenix. Jeremy Kolok is your Soundscape stylist. She's the salty one. We're with you till 9 on the Chris Duel Show. Oh, I was on mute. Now I'm no longer on mute. I'm going to step out on an ice run. I'll be back. Woo! Woo!
At Lowe's, every pro is an MVP to us. It doesn't matter how big or small your business is. If you're a plumber, roofer, electrician, or remodeler, your business earns back when you spend, gets exclusive offers, and paint rewards. It all adds up to help drive your business. Join Lowe's MVP's Pro Rewards and Partnership Program today. Minimum purchase required. Earnings and paint rewards awarded as Lowe's e-gift cards. Exclusions, restrictions, and more terms apply. Valid through 12/31/22. See Lowe's.com/L/Pro Loyalty Terms. Subject to change. U.S. only.
Love the mocha's here.
Too bad my budget doesn't.
Sarah, don't give it up. State Farm has options to get you a surprisingly great rate.
Thanks, Jake. Next round's on me.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Call or go to statefarm.com for a quote today.
Dance come marching one by one, ew.
But mom's got tea for when they come, hurrah, hurrah. We used to spray and rush away,
but Ziva lets us stay and play.
Since it won't fog up the room, but the bugs will still meet their doom. Boom, boom. Beat bugs with Zevo. It uses essential oils that attack bugs' biological systems. Plus, it's safe for use around people and pets.
Michelle Johnson, welcome in.
Zevo, people-friendly, bug-deadly. No.
Robert Browning. Whoa, Robert's got the Mount Fuji. June 10th to the 14th. Wow, I got to get a flag to you, Robert. Thank you for that. We also want to get you on the show right before your attempt. So, thank you for that information. Good point by Jeremy. A lot of people are thinking the Lakers are tanking for draft picks. Apparently, they don't have the picks in this draft. So, I gotta plug in gotta plug in my phone. Thank you, Robert. Yeah, and I think I'll probably go, Robert. There's a couple of places in San Antonio. One is Sammy's Embroidery. They might be able to help us make a flag. For those of you who don't know, Robert Browning is in Japan. He's going to climb Mount Fuji. He's going to plant a Spurs flag atop Mount Fuji. And I figured, hey, we may as well horn in on that action. So we have asked him to plant a show flag, a Chris Duel show flag on top of Mount Fuji. He's been kind enough to agree. So we just got to get him a flag. So we'll have to work on that. And we better hurry because it's April 6th. We'd have to get him that flag by late May at the, it's like a little over a month. Michelle Johnson from Marysville, Kansas. Welcome in.
Chris Duel and at Shannon B. Sweeney.
Little Eric Clapton. Lay down, Sally. Welcome in. It's the Chris Duel Show with Shannon, Salty, Sweeney. Jeremy Kolok is your Soundscape Stylist as we celebrate the San Antonio Spurs last night clinching a berth into the play-in tournament. We've been talking about it a lot throughout the morning. In fact, in about an hour, Bill Schoening, the voice of the San Antonio Spurs, going to join us. We'll talk about that and more. Spurs beat the Denver Nuggets last night in Denver convincingly, 116-97, without DeJounte Murray. And earlier we were talking about, how deep, and it's our poll question today as well. How deep could the Spurs go in this postseason? They keep playing like this. They've won 7 out of their last 8, and they've won their last 3 without DeJounte Murray. And while beating Portland is not impressive, beating Denver in Denver is very impressive. Things I think are looking up for the Spurs team right now. So Bill Schoening going to join us. We'll talk more NFL football as God intended. Major League Baseball opening day is tomorrow. We just talked and heard audio from Tiger Woods as tomorrow just becomes a huge, huge day in sports. Opening of not only the Masters in Augusta, Georgia, but opening day in baseball as well. If you want to join us on the phone lines, you are welcome. 800-707-9760. Join us on the live video feed via Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. And don't forget that free iHeartRadio app. We're crystal clear. Go to the iHeartRadio app. Listen to us either via AM 1300 The Zone or Ticket 760. And don't forget that microphone button at the bottom of the app. You can message us instantly. We hear the message. We play it on the air. In a moment, Shannon's midweek salty shakedown. But first, how about some sports birthdays and this day in sports history? April 6th, 1958. It was the 22nd Masters tournament, final round at Augusta. Arnold Palmer was your winner. It was his first of 4 Masters titles. He finished 1 stroke ahead of Doug Ford and Fred Hawkins. It was the first of Arnold Palmer's 7 major titles. On this day in 1987, it was the middleweight World Boxing Championship bout as Sugar Ray Leonard upset Marvelous Marvin Hagler at Caesars Palace in Paradise, Nevada, to take that title. And finally, on this day in 2015, it was the 77th NCAA Men's Basketball Championship. Coach K and Duke prevailed. Duke beat Wisconsin 68-63. Blue Devils point guard Tyus Jones had 23 points. Why is Tyus Jones significant? Because he's the brother of Spur Trey Jones, the older brother of Spur Trey Jones, who also went to Duke. That's your sports history. How about some sports birthdays? Born on this day in 1951, Baseball Hall of Fame pitcher, 2-time World Series champion with the Minnesota Twins in 1979 and 87, Bert Blyleven. Bert Blyleven was born in Zeist, the Netherlands. I did not know that. Born on this day in 1973, former Dallas Cowboys linebacker Randall Godfrey. And finally, born on this day in 1978, 8 NFL seasons as a quarterback in the NFL with the New York Giants, Washington football team, Philadelphia Eagles, Buffalo Bills, Baltimore Ravens, and the Arizona Cardinals. Oh, he also played for the Berlin Thunder in NFL Europe. He wouldn't be noteworthy except for who he married. I'm talking about Tim Hasselbeck, quarterback out of Boston College. He married the former Elizabeth Filarski. Elizabeth Filarski became Elizabeth Hasselbeck, who made a name for herself with her conservative stances on The View. She later became a Fox News blonde female anchor. He is Tim Hasselbeck, born on this day in 1978. Those are your sports birthdays. That's your sports history. And now, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends, Romans, countrymen, farm animals, pole assassins, and monkeys, here it is, your midweek salty shakedown.
Chris, my mind is often on food, so we're going to go there again today with the Masters, because yesterday we had the Masters Club dinner menu drop just before the shakedown, and today we have some sad news, and that is, as many know, the Masters known for their food options for patrons who are out there on the course. They pay all of that money to get to the Masters, to enjoy that experience. So the food prices are pretty cheap, especially when you compare them to other tournaments and sporting events. And they have noteworthy items like that pimento cheese sandwich and the Georgia peach ice cream cookie bar, whatever you want to call it. However, due to supply shortages and supply chain issues, there will not be the Georgia peach ice cream bar, and people are very upset about it, sir. There was one person who was like, is that just for today or for the whole tournament? Because as we know, people have been out there enjoying practices, following Tiger around, and although the weather incoming for the actual days of the tournament not looking so great, it's probably been a little hot out there, as it was very hot in Central Texas yesterday. An ice cream sandwich probably would have been a fun and enjoyable thing to chow down on, but they won't get that famous Georgia peach ice cream, at least not this year. But Chris, also in looking at this menu, which always astonishes me, I mean, that pimento cheese sandwich, $1.50, a soda, $1, breakfast, a sausage biscuit for $1.50, a barbecue sandwich, $2.50, the highest priced beer, $3.50, and that's for import beer. Domestic will run you $2.75. Compared to what the prices were that I saw at Dell Technologies, where it was a bottle of domestic beer for $10, some $14. Don't get me started on the food. Torchy's Tacos, I never understand. They do this at DKR as well. You have restaurants all over the city and charge like $3.50, $3.75 for your cheapest taco, and then that same cheapest taco will run you $10 at a sporting event. I don't care for it. That's just mean.
No,
it's rude. I need to eat. It should be fair priced. I think the Masters does it right. Those people pay all that money to get in. Just because they had all that money to pay to get in does not mean they want to continue spending high dollar amounts to eat while they're there. So keep them around, keep them happy, keep them fed. You'll keep them coming back to the actual tournament year after year. But Chris, how big of a disappointment is this Georgia peach ice cream? I didn't even know that was a thing. I thought it was all about the pimento cheese, but the uproar for the lack of Georgia peach ice cream at this year's tournament is turning into a big deal.
Well, and again, on the Salty Shakedown, we learn things. Me too. The big food item, in my view, I've never been to the Masters, was the pimento cheese sandwich. But now we know the Georgia peach ice cream is in huge demand. Once again, another victim of the supply chain in America. I'm so sad. You make a great point, though. And why don't other sporting venues and vendors, Torchies, follow the lead of the Masters? Don't gouge people. There's plenty of money to be made. We will guzzle lots of beer. We might even eat more tacos. You sell me a $3.50 taco, I might get 4 or 5 of them. If it's a $10 taco, I may pass and get a hot dog, or I may, or I may just buy one. Come on. Don't gouge us for tacos.
$10 taco. I'm asking my friends for money, and I'm saying, listen, we could split. We could each have like 2 bites of this if we go in halvesies. I can't afford those prices. That's why, for me, I'm thankful for the media lounge and the eats that are involved with that. All right, continuing in Masters news, as we have discussed, Tiger Woods will likely tee off tomorrow. His tee time currently set for 10:34 a.m. Eastern time, which is 9:34 Central time, and he is currently paired with Louis Oosthuizen, as well as Joaquin Niemann. That will be the pairing that he will go out with, or the triple that he will go out with. But the interesting thing, as we know, Tiger, his red, his Nike, he is Nike. When you think golf and you think Nike, you think Tiger Woods, or vice versa, whichever way you want to look at it. But he is not wearing Nike shoes on the course, Chris, and people took note.
No!
He and Nike currently working to develop a shoe that is comfortable and supportive enough for him and his new rods that are in his foot or leg. But he's currently wearing FootJoys. Imagine all the money FootJoy is currently getting just based off of the eyeballs alone that Nike is missing out on. Nike now missing a huge marketing opportunity to say, look, we have a shoe for people who just, you don't have to be like Tiger and have all the rods and all of the extra accessories inside your leg due to a horrific accident. But we make the most comfortable golf shoes, no matter what your condition is. I'm assuming Nike maybe just didn't have enough time, didn't realize Tiger would be making such a quick comeback, and that this comeback would be on the biggest stage in golf at the Masters. But FootJoy, they've got to be having some joy themselves, because Tiger Woods is wearing their shoes. He's still wearing Nike, everything else, but he's wearing FootJoys this week, Chris.
Okay, now I am so unhip. As you know, Shannon, I'm very unhip when it comes to contemporary music, but I'm apparently also unhip when it comes to footwear. I was unaware of the brand FootJoy.
Me too.
Had you heard of FootJoy before? Is that a thing?
I had not, but obviously they do base their shoes around comfort and stability,
Okay.
and so therefore Tiger has gone that route, at least for this tournament. He says they get the job done, but that again, he and Nike are working on something to get something ready as he continues, because he'll probably have to wear shoes like this for the remainder of his career with all of those new additions in his leg. Finally today, Chris, we always say it, more football equals good football, but we might have to draw the line. I'm interested to get your thoughts. The 2028 Olympics will be played in Los Angeles, and obviously the big part about having it in LA, a lot of stadiums won't and extra facilities won't need to be built because they're already there in the city of Angels. But the NFL, who, as we know, they play games in Mexico, they play games in London. Next season, they're going to play a game in Germany, right? They're trying to expand their global audience and expand their reach and bring more, more eyes means more money. Their next idea in doing that is to bring flag football to the Olympics. Not football, but flag football to the Olympics in 2028. Because LA would obviously have the facilities ready for that kind of sport to be integrated. But also they figure that then other countries will have to invest time and money in developing football players of the flag football sort who might turn into future NFL stars, future college stars, future opportunities to expand the NFL into the other parts of the world if flag football does take off, if they want to see it at that next level, at the full level, at the pads on pads level. Chris, I loved playing flag football intramurals in college. I would even enjoy a game now. But it's not this. It's watching it is certainly not the same as watching the real thing as an Olympic sport. I just don't see it.
Yeah, and Shannon, you and I, when we say more football is good football, it is true. Can't wait for the USFL. We're getting closer. It's later this month, I think on the 16th, 10 days from now. But I don't know that applies to flag football. And like you, I played flag football intramural in college as well. But but again, my first blush, I'm with you, Shannon. It shouldn't be an Olympic sport, but there's so many ridiculous Olympic sports already. You almost say, why not flag football? Because, tiddlywinks is probably now an Olympic sport. So I'm kind of torn. I got to think this through. I'm not sure on this one, Shannon.
Yeah, we will get breakdancing as an Olympic sport for the 2024 Olympics in Paris, but NFL now working to bring flag football to the Olympics beginning in 2028. There it is, today's Salty Shakedown.
I'll make a deal with the Olympic Committee. You can have flag football as an Olympic sport if we can have beer pong I think beer pong should be an Olympic sport as well. I mean, to me, they're
I'm
similar.
trained.
We do them in college. Yeah, beer pong is big in college. Flag football is big in college. So I don't know what other college activities. Now I'm seeing a comment from YouTube, Shannon, from Blackbird 76 says, I would rather see ultimate frisbee be an Olympic sport. I'm kind of surprised, given all the Olympic sports, that ultimate frisbee isn't an Olympics. That's a pretty big sport out there, ultimate frisbee.
I see your ultimate frisbee, and I raise you disc golf. Also, some people refer to it as frisbee golf. So let's get some frisbee in there.
Let's. I'll go disc golf and ultimate frisbee for an Olympic sport. And Jason Paniagua says, bring back
tug of war.
Tug of war to the what he says. Bring back. Was tug of war ever an Olympic medal sport? Based on the way he's saying that, it sounds like it was.
Google will help us out.
So
I mean, some of these things, I'm like, how do you judge that? Yeah, tug of war was contested as a team event in the Summer Olympics at the games of every Olympiad from 1900 to 1920. So what's that? 5?
My goodness.
5 somewhere.
That I did not know that. That's pretty historic. A great salty shakedown as always, Shannon. And I gotta go check out FootJoy. I mean, if Tiger Woods is wearing FootJoy, and if they're supposed to make your feet feel joyful, I might check that out.
See,
man.
and that's the problem Nike is currently having.
Yeah, exactly. Nike executives are pulling their hair out, and FootJoy executives are very. Until this salty shakedown, I had never heard of FootJoy, and now I'm going to check them out. So there's that. Coming up in the 8:00 hour, we got to dive. We talked flag football. We got to talk some NFL football, as God intended. It's the greatest sport on the face of this earth. We love other sports too, but come on, football, baby. And I will double check on the start of the USFL. In my head, I think it's April 16th. But we'll check that. I know at their website they got a countdown clock. So we'll check that out. Latest on the Dallas Cowboys. We'll see if Daniel Snyder has committed any more crimes against humanity. That NBA, Spurs get into the postseason, into the play-in tournament. Opening day of baseball tomorrow. We'll be all over it. Tiger Woods almost certainly playing on Thursday in the Masters. He'll play 9 holes today. We heard him mention that earlier in the show. Bill Schoening, the voice of the San Antonio Spurs, he's going to join us just after 8:30. She is Shannon Salty Sweeney. Jeremy Kolok is your Soundscape Stylist. Eric Clapton provides the background music. We're with you till 9 on the Chris Duel Show. Good morning, Dean Stone. Good morning, David. Dave Emilio Castanuela, good morning. Yeah, Blackbird 76, I'm surprised ultimate frisbee isn't an Olympic sport. I mean, that was a big deal when I was like in high school, and that was a long time ago. Long time ago. All right. I may go get my last minute beverages for tomorrow's show.
Everyone knows that Nature Valley Crunchy bars are crunchy. They're also packed with 16 grams of whole grain. They help you get up. Nature Valley for every adventure.
All right. Final, my ice has melted. So I'm going to get ice for the stretch run here. Yeah, Joanne, I did not do React last night because I had to wake up 3 hours later. I did React on the radio. I just didn't do the video. So there was a React, just not a radio React. We should have one. I expect we'll have one Thursday night as the Spurs are in Minnesota. I've had to get up early this week and do WOAI's morning news. So I had a 3 hour, actually I got 3 hours and 13 minutes of sleep last night. So I was able to sleep in until 3 this morning. Back in a sec. Jeremy is stepping away. I'll give you a visual of some kind. Even though that's not today's.
is the #1 name in flea and tick protection. Not just because it kills fleas, ticks, and chewing lice on your dog or cat, or protects them for 30 days, or has a 20-year legacy of trusted protection. It's because whether fun with your pets means a day on the trails or a night on the couch, Frontline Plus lets you take them everywhere, no matter how you define it.
All right.
Frontline Plus, available for dogs or cats. Visit frontline.com to learn more.
See what's going on here. Uh-oh. All right. Got my ice for my iced tea, which is beautiful. Woo! Woo, woo, woo. 8 o'clock hour. Bill Schoening and a whole lot more. Here we go. Woo! Woo! Gonna mute for a moment due to our evil Facebook overlords who like to bump us when they hear us play music. Mark Zuckerberg is the Antichrist. Hopefully I'm allowed to say that. Free speech.
Now, Chris Duel.
Oh, just basking in the glory of all that is good. Praising Greg Popovich and the San Antonio Spurs as last night it is made official. The San Antonio Spurs move into the postseason, or will after this regular season ends on Sunday. They will be in the play-in tournament against the New Orleans Pelicans in that first game. It is 7 versus 8 and 9 versus 10. And the only thing that we will determine in these final 3 games is who is 9 and who is 10. Right now, the Spurs are in the 10 slot in the Western Conference, the New Orleans Pelicans in the 9 slot, but the Spurs trail the Pelicans by 1 game with 3 games to play, and the Spurs hold the tiebreaker against the Pelicans. So if the Spurs catch them, what that means is this 1 game, win or go home, between the Spurs and the Pelicans, it will be played next Tuesday night. Whoever has the 9 slot, currently that's the Pelicans, they will be the home team. So if the standings hold as they are this morning, Tuesday night's play-in game between those 2 teams will be at the Smoothie King Center in New Orleans. However, if the Spurs can catch them, that game could be at the AT&T Center in San Antonio. Welcome into the 8 o'clock hour. It's the Chris Duel Show with Shannon, Salty, Sweeney, The hardest working man in radio, Jeremy Kolok, is your Soundscape Stylist. Coming up a little bit later after the bottom of the hour, our good friend and author, Bill Schoening, the voice of the San Antonio Spurs, on a big morning for the Spurs. He's going to join us. Always fun, always enlightening when we talk to Bill Schoening. You can join us. You're always welcome to join us. Phone number 800-707-9760, or you could join us on the live video feed via Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. You're not only reacting with us, but reacting with other sports fans live and in real time. And don't forget about that free iHeartRadio app via AM 1300 The Zone or Ticket 760 on the app. You can leave us an instant message with that microphone button. We'll get it instantly. We'll play it on the air. It's a beautiful thing. So much we still have to get to, Shannon and Jeremy, and I want to make sure, because we didn't really get into it big time yesterday, and I know you both are into it, and with Major League Baseball's opening day tomorrow, the two of you have already played some Major League Baseball via MLB The Show 22, the video game that is dropped. So want to see both of you, your reviews on how the video game is. How was that for you yesterday, Shannon? I know you were going to play it before you headed out to see the Round Rock Express play their big game yesterday.
I think I spent most of my time creating my character. Because there's so many different things that the head, the angles of every way you want things, how you can change how big their butt is. So I spent a lot of time just like dragging from one side to the other, watching the butt like get bigger and then get smaller and things like that. And I just have a good time with that. But it does take a lot out of you. And then I didn't realize the actual gameplay itself is super intricate. So obviously you have your pitching, your hitting, your throwing, your catching, and all of the things that encompass baseball. And then within those, there are different ways in which you can use the controller to perform those activities, and you then can test out how you want to perform them. So that's what I did mostly yesterday. And then I did got drafted by the Astros organization. You can kind of finagle where you end up getting drafted. So I'm playing for the Corpus Christi Hooks at the moment. I'm 2 games in. My first game was against the San Antonio Missions. I am a pitcher. I pitched very well. We won. We won my second start as well. So I don't know how long it's going to take to get to the big leagues. Last I heard, Jeremy had played MLB The Show right when it came out and grinded a little bit and made his way to AAA. So I'm hoping to do some grinding on the game today, because so far I'm enjoying it, but it is very intricate.
What now, Jeremy? How does that work? How do you get called up from AA to AAA and then to the bigs? Is it performance based? You've got to really play well to get called up.
Chris and Shannon, I spent way too long in the AA. I'll just say way too long. I played over 70. I think I played 76 games in the AA. Wow. I mean, I had all the AA records. I was the best AA player of all time before they finally said, maybe this kid should be moved up to the next level of minor league baseball. And then I eventually got called up to the majors. So I'm living the dream now. And I think those 76, maybe 78 total games with AAA in those little tiny stadiums, it really helps me appreciate it when I'm standing in those major league ballparks, because that game, they've done such a great job with the graphics, and what they've really done is they give you an experience that mimics a ballpark when you're in the ballpark in the game, which I think is so hard to do, but it feels like very authentic, like you're standing in Fenway Park or whatever. And last year, Shannon, I was a left fielder, just to kind of give you a little bit insight into my position and why I chose it. So last year I was a left fielder, but then I noticed once I got to the majors and you're playing these better talents, that home runs were just sailing over my head at least 3 to 4 times a game out in left field. And I was getting frustrated by that. So this year I switched to center field. I gave myself a little bit more room. And my favorite part about it is just standing in the outfield and just looking at the landscape, which sounds cheesy, but when I'm standing there in Yankee Stadium or Angel Stadium or Dodger Stadium, I've never seen a sports game that has been able to replicate that landscape and that experience of a ballpark so well. I can't get enough of
Wow.
it.
Nerd.
I got to ask you now.
Yeah, I know.
Shannon is in the Astros organization. When you were called up to the bigs, what organization are you playing for?
Yeah, I don't know if this is gonna make you happy, but I have a reason behind it. So last year, I wanted the authentic ball player experience.
Don't say Yankees.
Well, just hang on a second.
Don't say Yankees.
Last year, there's an option that says just go to whatever team wants you the most, which I'm sure it just picks a random team then, or like maybe a team that needs you based on your position, so that if you play the same position as Aaron Judge, you're not trying to break into the starting lineup of the Yankees. Near impossible. So last year I said, whatever team wants me, I will go there. Just put me in a major league ballpark, please. And I got picked by the literal worst team in baseball, the Baltimore Orioles.
Okay.
And yeah, I enjoyed myself in Baltimore. I mean, they have a nice little ballpark, but we just weren't winning any games, and we were getting killed every game. So this year I kept it. I said, I'm gonna do it again as far as random team picking, see how that goes. And the New York Yankees did pick me. I'm a part of the Bronx Bombers. And at first I was like, man, that's not really me. I'm from Texas. I would have been fine with the Astros or with the Rangers. I would have been ideal, of course. But there's something about stepping out onto the field at Yankee Stadium in the Bronx. There's something special about it, man. It hasn't gotten old yet, and I don't think it will anytime soon.
Jeremy Kolok in pinstripes, Shannon. That's a little much, but it's hard to criticize him. I mean, he clearly loves the game. So, man, I don't know.
Now, Jeremy, I've got a question, and I know it's taboo to talk about money, but in navigating and looking at all the different screens that you can look at, the game focuses on to be as real as possible. And I didn't get to. You don't negotiate a contract, but my Hook's salary right now is $30,000. Did you get a bump when you went up to AAA?
Yeah, you'll start making triple digits when you get to AAA.
Okay.
Once you'll get that big bump.
So that's why they call it AAA.
Yeah.
You make triple digits. Wow. Now, somebody is bringing up players' butts. Jason Paniagua on the
Why
live
would they
video
do
feed.
that?
So Jeremy, how big is your butt? Your character do you have a normal sized rear end, or is
nothing
okay?
to write home about? Just nothing special.
Oh, see, I gave mine a little something.
You played.
Just a little bit.
You played 76, 78 games in the minors. How long does it play 78 games?
Yeah, so this is the beautiful thing they've done with this game. Is last year it took a little bit longer, but they've tried to make it to where it skips to your, I think they call them like dynamic moments or something like that. So if you're a first baseman, for example, you could set the settings to play every play, but it would take a while. So it just puts you in very specific plays, like maybe double play opportunities. Or of course, if the ball comes toward you, it's going to put you in those plays. And then if you get on base, it skips to like a full count, or like maybe the pitch that the batter's actually going to hit. It tries to keep you in the action, and they've done a great job with it because you can get through a game in this specific game mode. Obviously, you could go play your normal baseball game and control a whole team and be the Athletics or whatever, float your boat. But in this game mode, what I really like about it is you could get through a game in like 15 minutes. So, I mean, what a lot of my friends, they'll go home on their lunch breaks now and they'll play 2 MLB The Show games. They'll try to get some dubs in City Field or something, and then they'll go back to work. It's just, all my friends are playing it right now. And I don't know if it's just because it's opening week too, or if it's also because it's such a good game, just in the sports gaming landscape. But this game has kind of taken my realm by storm right now.
Well, Shannon, it sounds like the both of you and Jeremy give it a thumbs up. MLB The Show 22 sounds like you two are locked in.
Yeah, I'd say if you can't get out to a ballpark, get this. It's a good time. It's also, it's kind of one of those mind-numbing games. I mean, you sit and get lost in it for hours, and it's not too crazy stressful compared to some of the other games that I play. So I like it so far. Like I said, I'm new to it. I've spent most of my time, as we know, creating my player yesterday. So today I'll be focusing on gameplay and trying to get better.
Well, the two of you will have to keep us posted on your progress as you move forward in the video game. I do, with Bill Schoening coming up in the next segment, Shannon. We missed it yesterday, and I did not. I failed in my homework assignment to watch the most recent episode of Winning Time: The Rise of the Lakers Dynasty on HBO and HBO Max. But Shannon, you have seen it. We missed your review yesterday. I'm going to make every effort after my nap today to take a look at it. And there's no Spurs game tonight, so I have no excuse. I'm going to have to watch it tonight, and I will be all over it. But first question, and then fill us in on some of your highlights or lowlights. Did the most recent episode of Winning Time live up to previous episodes? Do you still like the series?
Yeah, I enjoyed the most recent episode. The season finally starts, which is nice. I feel like we've been waiting for the season to start. Like, okay, we know it's coming. Let's get there. The previous episode ended kind of with the idea that they would have these Laker girls, and you do see them. You see Paula Abdul for the first time. I think and maybe this is just because, you and I, we work in radio, and obviously you work really closely with Bill Schoening, and this is something I want to ask him today. And Pat Riley is basically auditioning to be the color analyst, and he's working with this play-by-play guy who's been the play-by-play guy for the Lakers. His name, I have no idea.
Chick Hearn.
Yes,
that must be
but
Chick Hearn.
He is a jerk, and basically is like, he's like, if I put a fist up, that means you don't talk, and he basically doesn't want Pat Riley to talk at all. Until kind of later in the episode, he realizes that Pat Riley does have stuff to add as a former player of the Lakers. But he's just horrible. And I'm curious of, Bill Schoening's been in the game for a long time. And if he's crossed paths with any of these guys that just almost have the attitude like they are the stars of the show rather than them calling the actual show.
Wow. Well, and I will say this, and Chick Hearn is a legend, Shannon, and Bill has spoken glowingly about him. And I don't know if Bill's ever met him. He passed away a number of years ago, Chick Hearn. But Bill talks about him just because of his longevity. And when I lived in Los Angeles, Chick Hearn was to basketball what Vin Scully was to Dodger baseball. Just a huge personality and a very colorful play-by-play broadcaster. But Shannon, and you probably in radio as well, I have met some people who on the air are very, very talented, but off the air are jerks, are just not nice people off the air, which I've always, and when I used to do stand-up comedy, and more so in stand-up, Shannon, I would meet comics who on stage were like national headliners and very, very funny, and then off stage, absolute jerks, treated people like dirt. And my feeling was, really? You're going to get into a business either to entertain people and or to make people laugh and bring joy into their lives, and yet in reality, you're a jerk to people. Is that the way you want to live? So I'm not shocked that that's the portrayal of Chick Hearn. And I got to believe, and granted, I know that they take some poetic license and maybe exaggerate sometimes, but I got to believe that Jeff Pearlman, the original author of the book that the series is based on, must have in his research discovered a lot of these things were true about Chick Hearn. Maybe he wasn't the nicest guy in real life.
Which is disappointing, right? I mean, a lot of this I think is disappointing as far as obviously some creative licensing maybe came into some of it, but just the idea that these guys who were part of this magnificent uprising of the Lakers were just not the greatest humans. And then also in this recent episode, Jerry Buss, he's just kind of a sad man, and he has kind of a breakdown moment of like, he's build off these buildings, he's bought the Lakers, they're going to be great, and then the first night is there, and he feels this emptiness, and he's just like, what's going to do it for me? And it's sad. It just makes you sad.
Wow. John C. Riley as Jerry Buss. You mentioned Pat Riley, and it is true. That's how he progressed. He was a player for the Lakers. Then he became a play-by-play color guy with Chick Hearn on the radio broadcast. And as I recalled, haven't seen the most recent episodes, but just I was living in Los Angeles when it happened. Magic Johnson did not like Paul Westhead, the head coach, and Magic really got him fired. And then Pat Riley became the head coach of the Lakers. But watching the series, Shannon, well, yeah, sorry about that. Adrian Brody, it's kind of common knowledge, but Adrian Brody as the Pat Riley is like a suave, sophisticated, good-looking guy in real life, and at least certainly since he became the Lakers broadcaster. Adrian Brody as Pat Riley just looks kind of like this nerdy wimp. I'm not yet buying it. I buy into the Magic Johnson character. I buy into the Jerry Buss character. I buy into the Kareem character. I'm not buying into the Pat Riley character yet.
See, I really, I guess, I think Adrian Brody's great. I wonder if obviously the Pat Riley we know now, like this, the slicked back hair, right? And Adrian Brody, like in his natural state, I think that's a very common hairstyle for him to have. It'll be interesting to see if at the end of this, because there are so many people where we obviously know where they end up, if this is going to be just a limited series, if that final episode, they have a cut to 10, 20, 30 years from now where these people are, and if that's where they let Adrian Brody shine as Pat Riley as we kind of know him today.
It's going to be fascinating. And sorry about the spoilers. I just thought that was
I haven't,
knowledge, at least among
only episode 5.
Old people. It's okay. Good. All right. Sorry about that. Jeremy, how much have you watched? Have you watched any, or did the dog eat your homework?
No, I am officially caught up.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I first time since it's been out that I'm caught up. So
right.
You are alone in your boat now. I apologize for that.
I'm getting caught up today. All right. You heard Shannon. What has stood out for you thus far? Winning time, rise of the Lakers dynasty.
Well, the first thing I noticed that I was like, I'm going to mention that if they don't, is we get, and I guess it's a mini spoiler, but I'm not going to tell the context. We get a Kobe Bryant reference or inclusion in the newest episode, which, it's like the Leonardo DiCaprio meme where he's pointing at his TV like, look, there he is. There's Kobe, because we all know Kobe. That's like the new age Laker.
Yeah.
And yes, I've really enjoyed it this far as well to this point, but I don't want to give away any other spoilers. Just if you haven't seen the new episode, Kobe makes an appearance as well as all the other Showtime Lakers.
That is so cool. Are you buying Adrian Brody as Pat Riley? Are you feeling it?
I don't know, because for me as a younger sports fan, I only know Pat Riley as the Heat days. I mean, we know him from the Laker days historically, but I never saw that. I only know him as this older, the Godfather running the Miami Heat over there. So it's really weird, and it's hard to bridge that gap in my mind because I never saw Pat Riley as anything else. And I was thinking kind of like you, but with less knowledge than you on the topic. Like, is this really what Pat Riley was like in that kind of in-between phase between when he was a player and when he became Pat Riley, like Pat Riley? So I don't know. I can't speak to the accuracy, but it doesn't seem like Pat Riley, at least that I know.
And it will be interesting if indeed Adrian Brody pulls off that transformation into like the suave, debonair Pat Riley. And as we go to break and get ready for Bill Schoening, Jason Paniagua on the live video feed says, I think that Adrian Brody will pull Pat Riley off perfectly. Wow. All right. Well, and I'm open to that. And if you're just tuning in, we're talking about Winning Time, the rise of the Lakers dynasty. It's a series, a dramatic series based on fact, although there's some people arguing with some of the facts in it and where they're going with it, but it is on HBO and HBO Max. Coming up, it'll be an interesting question that Shannon will have for Bill Schoening regarding Chick Hearn. Has Bill Schoening had experiences in broadcasting with, sports broadcasters who might have behaved the way that Chick Hearn is behaving? in the series. Bill Schoening, the voice of the San Antonio Spurs, on the morning after the Spurs punch their ticket to the play-in tournament. Bill Schoening joins us next on the Chris Duel Show. All right. Yeah, Jason, I'm that way too. To me, Pat Riley will always be a Laker. So yeah, although I mean, and again for Shannon and for Jeremy, you know, their frame of reference is Pat Riley with the Miami Heat. You know, except for like old footage of him back with the Lakers. Richard Giragosian, welcome in, sir. Yeah, Richard, you may be right. Part of the drama might be to show the transformation into Showtime Lakers and Armani suits for Pat Riley and all that. That makes total sense. All right, Bill Schoening coming up. Let me find my Bill Schoening. My Bill Schoening photo. I know I've got two of them. There it is. Bill Schoening joining us in just a few. And I might, so I've got my Bill Schoening with his book. We may as well be pimping his book here. Where's my Bill Schoening photo with his book? There it is. We'll pimp the book. Frank Ramirez, totally agree. You know, maybe the Green Bay Packers could fight the Spurs on that, but certainly in basketball. And certainly I think the argument would be, and obviously the Packers have been around a lot longer, but the argument would be Packers or Spurs as far as a small town market. But I'm amazed to this day what the Spurs have been able to achieve in a small market. It's and I know people say, well, he had Tim Duncan. For Greg Popovich and R.C. Buford and the Spurs to have done what they did, and part of it, not only player personnel, I mean, finding Manu, finding Tony Parker and pulling the trigger, converting and finding Kawhi Leonard. It's an amazing thing they've done here. Let's see. See, I'm totally. There's the Bill Schoening book, if you don't have it already. Stories, sports, and songs, tales and tunes by a play-by-play lifer, Bill Schoening.
Especially during allergy season, a nose in is a tough thing.
Skip Bayless is trending. Oh, okay. Apparently on Undisputed, he's going to eviscerate the Lakers this morning. Bill Schoening coming up. Jeremy Kolok on the phone with him. Here we go. He's good. Thanks.
With Shannon Salty Sweeney.
Is a rockin'. That would be the house of any Spurs fan in San Antonio. What a great night last night without DeJounte Murray, the San Antonio Spurs go into Denver's Ball Arena and convincingly defeat a very good Denver Nuggets team led by Nikola Jokic, who had 41 and a double-double. Spurs beat the Denver Nuggets last night 116-97. Then a couple of hours later, things got even better as the Lakers fell in Phoenix, therefore meaning the Spurs clinch a play-in berth. They have at least the number 10 slot in the Western Conference. That play-in game next Tuesday against the Pelicans. Will it be in New Orleans or will it be in San Antonio? That's yet to be determined. The voice of the San Antonio Spurs, Bill Schoening, joins us. Bill, it's a beautiful day to be a Spurs fan.
First of all, I'm completely thrown off because I'm in the 8:30 segment instead of the 8 o'clock segment. So that's one thing.
Yes.
I love the fact that Steve Ray Vaughan was the intro music. That was cool. Not that I don't like Jim Morrison and the Doors, which is usually the intro music, but now I'm able to adjust all these things, right? So no, that was a very good win, and it was very interesting. You know, we had Becky Hammond on the postgame show last night, Chris, and she talked about the coach's strategy, and that was to let Jokic get his and not double team him a lot and keep his assists down. When he is most dangerous, not only when he's scoring 30 or 40 points, but when he's dishing out 10 or 15 assists. And they kept the assist down to a handful last night because they didn't double him. And he's so good at recognizing where the double team is coming from and where that vacancy occurs that he can hit the open man. He's a very good passer out of double teams. And the Spurs decided not to do that last night. Let him get his and just try to keep everybody else in check. And they did.
You're confused, Bill. I thought Chris was just completely ignoring you in the 8 o'clock hour. I did not finish reading our rundown, and I was like, oh, are we not friends anymore with one Mr. Bill Schoening? But luckily, we still have you on today because it wouldn't be Wednesday without talking to you.
He's got a big head. Yeah, he's got a big head. He's got a book out. We're not going to put him on anymore. He just wants to talk about the book. Doesn't want to talk about the Spurs. So, yeah. I've got my corncob pipe and my smoker's jacket, you know.
There you
I've got
go.
the Hugh Hefner thing going without the bevy of beauties, I might add.
Including Barbie Benton, but don't get me started on Hugh's women. All right.
Well, let's take that idea, and Chris will have to remind me of the broadcaster's name. The play-by-play guy featured in Winning Time, the story about the Showtime Lakers. I guess because we're in the broadcast.
Hearn.
Yeah,
Chick
Hearn.
Chick Hearn.
He comes off as just a complete.
Portraying him in a positive light.
No. He comes off as a horrible human being. He's awful to Pat Riley. Just your thoughts on what you might know about him, and if they have it wrong, or because we talk to you all the time, and you're the best. I could never imagine a broadcaster being like that.
I only met Chick once, and it was his last year with the Spurs. It was his last year with the Lakers, my first year with the Spurs. But I got a chance to sit down and really have a nice visit with them at the Alamo Dome before a playoff game. That first year that I was working the Spurs game, last year the Spurs were in the Alamo Dome. He could not have been nicer. He knew all about my career. He knew all about my background. He encouraged me to take it easy and travel in the summer and not try to get other gigs. Because he said when he first got out to L.A., he was doing some USC and some UCLA stuff and traveling too much. And he decided finally, hey, I'm the voice of the Lakers. I don't need to do all this other stuff. Of course, I haven't listened to him. Here I am doing college baseball on Tuesday nights. But and I love doing that, by the way. But Chip was a great guy. And I wasn't there, obviously, when he had these discussions or disagreements with Pat Riley or whatever was happening. But so I can't comment on that because I wasn't there. But all I can tell you is from my vantage point, my one time that I got a chance to sit down and visit with him for about 15, 20 minutes. He was awesome.
Yeah, and it's so weird when you hear something negative like that, Bill. And I'm assuming, and I've met and interviewed the author of the book that this Lakers series is based on. Jeff Pearlman is the author of the original book, and he wrote for Sports Illustrated for a number of years. He's done a lot of bios. But Bill, I mean, and you are always so positive. I've never heard you say a negative thing about anybody ever. However, what I told Shannon, in my years in radio and in my years before that, I did some stand-up comedy and was privileged to work with some big national headliners. And when you do run into somebody who's very, very talented as either a broadcaster or a comedian, in my case, when you do find out there are some people in the business who have one persona for the public when they're on stage or on air, and then you find out that in real life they might not be the nicest guy in the world, and that's putting it mildly. They might be a jerk. It is discouraging when you do find that out about some people.
Yeah, and that does happen with some people. And the other thing, too, is you realize in this business, it can be kind of cutthroat. I mean, there are people out there, for number one, they're out there for themselves, and they don't care about the people they step over. You see this in all walks of life, of course, but it happens in broadcasting a lot because it's such a competitive business. And I've always tried, Chris, to maintain positive relationships with the people I've worked with, the people I've worked for, and the people I've competed against on the air, quite frankly. And I don't look at it like a competition because I admire all of my colleagues, the guys that made it to the NBA to do play-by-play. I do see some of this little petty snipping every once in a while, and I try to avoid that at all costs. I try to pull for everybody. We all paid our dues to get to where we are. We don't need to nitpick, and I don't think anybody looks better when they put somebody else down.
So, Bill, the Spurs defeat the Nuggets last night. They've got 3 games left on the schedule: Timberwolves, Warriors, and Mavericks. What do you think the mindset is going to be for these 3 games? Can we expect maybe some like LeBron says, some sitting down, some resting, some rehabbing going on, as well as, DeJounte Murray? He missed last night's game because he says he randomly got sick. He really wants to be out there for his team. He was obviously excited the Spurs won, tweeting about that last night. But what do we know about him and his recovery?
Well, as far as DeJounte is concerned, I'm sure it's a day-to-day type thing. They're going to keep a close watch on that, and they're not going to bring him back too early. We know that with injuries and illnesses, the Spurs are very, very cautious about bringing guys back when they're ready to go and not asking them to do too much. And obviously now that they're in, you would think they'd be more conservative perhaps to make sure that he's absolutely ready to go. But at the same time, this team is playing very well, and I think Pop wants them to continue to be on this roll and have this momentum. They're playing a good Minnesota team on Thursday night. And I'm sure they're going to try to win that game and keep this momentum going. The odds of them catching the Pelicans might not be too great right now with their game behind, Chris. Is that right? With
1 game back.
But they've got the tiebreaker. So if they tie, they get the 9 seed. Of course, that's the difference between hosting and going on the road on Tuesday. But the way they're playing on the road right now, they've won 5 in a row on the road. They're actually, this season, they've been a better road team than home team. I think they're 18-21 now on the road. So, that's nothing to write home about. But again, they played very much better on the road in recent days and recent weeks. So I think they feel like they got some momentum and they want to keep it going. And you mentioned Trey Jones, Chris, backing up DeJounte Murray. And I even mentioned last night on the air, I'm more and more impressed the more I see this guy play. He's only in his 2nd year. And he had that really kind of uneven rookie year. He was going to play a lot more early this year and turned his ankle during the preseason. And last year, of course, he got a chance to play a little bit. But the rookies last year, Devin Vassell and Trey Jones, it was kind of a rough year for them because it was the COVID year and all the restrictions, and there was no training camp. And it took a while for the rookies to kind of get acclimated last year. But I think he's really coming into his own. And I really like what I see from Trey Jones.
He's the voice of the San Antonio Spurs, Bill Schoening. And Bill, you mentioned Pop and this coaching staff. This Spurs team, I talked a lot about it before the season began. Vegas had 28, the over-under for wins for the Spurs. They're now at 34 with 3 to play. When the Spurs, let go of DeMar DeRozan, Patty Mills, Rudy Gay, LaMarcus Aldridge before last season ended. All of those veterans and this young Spurs team, we knew DeJounte was very good, but so many outsiders just said, and I think you've alluded to this, where's the scoring going to come from for this Spurs team? For this Spurs team now to be in the postseason ahead of the Lakers, and we know the Lakers have their issues this year, but I just think once again, Bill, a phenomenal job by Greg Popovich and his staff to take the talent on this Spurs team and make the most of it. And as Matt Bonner said to you earlier this week in a pregame interview, if you look at the close single-digit games the Spurs lost this year, they probably have 5 or 6 more wins that they could have had out there that they let get away from them.
Yeah, it's all about growing and learning and getting experience, and that's what this year's been about. And during that period of time, we've seen the development of young players, and we've seen the confidence grow of young players. I look at a guy like Josh Primo, just 19 years of age, and he's not putting up great numbers. He could shoot the ball better, certainly, but we're seeing little things about him as we continue here. That block he had on Jokic last night was pretty phenomenal, really. If you get a chance to see that play, he basically came from behind as Jokic was going up against Pirtle, and not only blocked the shot, he basically took the ball away from Jokic and started a fast break the other way. So you're seeing flashes of brilliance from him. But Devin Vassell becoming more and more steady in his game. You mentioned the DeJounte Murray. Keldon Johnson, I believe over his last 7 games going into last night, he was averaging around 23 a game and just putting up very good numbers and being more efficient. Lonnie Walker's coming off the bench, didn't have a great game last night, but he's been much more consistent after the All-Star break. So we're seeing all of these guys. Josh Richardson, of course, is kind of an interesting guy because when the Spurs first got him, we didn't know how much he was going to play, if he was just going to be a guy that, was a 28-year-old guy that was not going to play because they're going to play the young guys. Well, they kind of needed him to play a little bit because of injury, and he has just fit right in. And the younger guys have really enjoyed having him on the team. And you can tell last night just by his body language, he's really getting a kick out of being with these guys. So he's a guy that I think has really contributed a lot, and the Spurs needed outside shooting off the bench, and that's exactly what Josh Richardson has provided. He had 4 threes in last night's game. So I really like the way this team's come together. I didn't mention Zach Collins and the improvements that he's made over the last several weeks. Of course, he was very rusty because he had to miss almost 2 years with those ankle injuries, and he has come back. And Becky Hammond even mentioned last night, you kind of see the confidence growing in him the more and more he gets out there and plays every night.
Finally, Bill, and we got about a minute left, but I do want to mention your new book, which is out, available from Amazon. Stories, sports, and songs, tales and tunes by a play-by-play lifer. I'm seeing a lot more and more people on my social media with the book in hand, waiting for an autograph session. Congratulations on the book. How does it feel to have so many people grabbing your book? I think it's pretty amazing.
I got a call last night from, believe it or not, this is really weird, from South Philadelphia. It was an old boyfriend of my sister. I hadn't talked to this guy in 25 years. I don't know how he got my number, but in a typical South Philly accent, "Hey, Billy, this is Sal. How you doing? How you doing? Hey, I got your book. I can't put it down. I can't. It's all these stories. I love these stories. I can't put the book down. I had a cheesesteak and I'm eating the book right now. In fact, I got a little ketchup and sauce on the book. I hope you don't mind." I said, "Okay, Sal, that's fine." So it's great to get these calls from people I haven't heard from in over 2 decades. But some folks are enjoying the book, so that's good to know.
I highly recommend the book. If you don't remember the title, just go to Amazon and put Bill's name in the search engine. It is Stories, Sports, and Songs, Tales and Tunes by a Play-by-Play Lifer. The book signing coming soon. As soon as Bill and we have that information, we will get that to you. Bill Schoening will have the call tomorrow night. Spurs in Minneapolis against the Minnesota Timberwolves. Pregame at 6:30 tomorrow night out of 1200 WOAI in San Antonio and across the Spurs radio network. Bill Schoening, always phenomenal. Thanks for taking the time the morning after a big Spurs win. We really do appreciate it.
Thank you, Chris. See you tomorrow night.
All right. Bill Schoening, the voice of the San Antonio Spurs. Did a pretty good Philly accent. I guess he's had a lot of experience with those guys, Shannon.
That was incredible.
And he is a Philly guy. So
they ever need a voice actor.
Shannon, yes. Tomorrow's going to be huge. Baseball opening day. The Masters and Tiger Woods get underway. I can't wait for tomorrow. It's going to be such a big day.
Yeah, I'm going to have to race out of here tomorrow to get in front of my TV and find a way to pull up the Masters since Tiger's teeing off at 9:34.
And you and Jeremy and I and Andy Everett will draft our Masters fantasy foursomes, which will be tremendous. Our thanks to Shannon Salty Sweeney. Jeremy, great job as well. Thanks to the voice of the San Antonio Spurs, Bill Schoening. Enjoy your Wednesday. Congratulations, Spurs. I am off to watch Winning Time and get caught up. Have a great Wednesday. Adios, amigos. All right, y'all. Until next time, we will see you in 21 hours. I'm getting a nap. then I'm going to watch Winning Time. Have a great Wednesday. Thanks for hanging out with us. We appreciate it.